Hi, and welcome to the Queen's Transition Program. And this is the first week of the program. It's the first week of the program, and I am super excited. I'm hosting this program with you guys here. So I'm going to do a very brief rundown of the program. Okay, so today's the first week. If this is your first time meeting me, my name is Amakamba, and I am the host of the Queen's Transition Program. Um, and basically, the Queen's Transition Program is a program aimed for women to help women heal and to help women heal generally and to become better version of themselves, and while healing their relationships. So while building healthy relationships. And so the program is going to I'm just giving a bit of a I'm going to give a bit of a you know housekeeping housekeeping rules. So the program is going to be running at the same time, Fridays at 6 p.m. West African time for the next 12 weeks. So this is the first week of the program. And at the end of 12 weeks, yeah, so we'll run for 12 weeks, And so the next thing is that I'm going to have two sessions for question and answers in this 12 weeks. So if you have questions, it's either I'll have brief sessions of questions at the end of the class, and afterwards, I'm going to have two sessions, two Q&A sessions, to just like answer any questions. So if you have questions, you could just pen them down for the Q&A sessions. Okay. So that's number two. Number three is that the program is it's better you join live. Okay, you have access to the recordings till the end of October. But it's better you join live. So you just like be in the flow and be in the energy of the class. And so but perhaps or peradventure you're not able to join live, then you have access to the recordings and you have time to go back, listen to the videos, and take notes. And just like, just soak it up in to the end of October. So I think that's ample time to do all this, right? To do all this and yeah, to do all this catching up. All right, so let's start today's meeting. And today I want to just kind of set intentions, the intention for this class, and the intention for the class generally for the whole program. At the end of the Queen's Transition Program, I'd want to, what I want to see that everyone that took part in the program will have a definite shift in their life. So it's meant to be a life transforming program. Okay, it's not just something that I want you to just get knowledge. I also want to see the shift happen in your life. So my intention is to see definite shift in your life that would definite shift, definite transformation in the lives of all the women here. So the major points for the program is going to be on healing emotional wounds, learning strategies to become better, like becoming a better person, and then building healthy relationships. So that's the sequence. We're gonna have healing, building, learning strategies, learning tools, strategies that would help you, and then healing your relationship. Okay, so that's the basic, and that's the major idea for the whole Queen's Transition Program. And so I'll give you a bit of a background how this program started with me. How I came up with this program. So if this is your first time hearing the story, yeah, welcome to my world. So a friend of mine called me some time ago, and she said to me, she called me to just complain, just like vents, rants about her relationship with her husband, which she said she believed it was narcissistic. Okay, he was a narcissist, and he's not diagnosed. Okay, this is just our impression about it. And so she called to just like vent and to just rant and all that. And in the midst of our talking, it was late at night because of the time difference. And as I laid my head to sleep that night, the first thoughts that came to my mind after our discussion, like this, the first thought that came to my mind was, how do we tame the men in our lives? I didn't feel like we needed him. Women are all perfect and good, that kind of a thing. So it was the men that had the problem. How do we tame the men in our lives? That was my first my first impression. How do we tame those men in our lives? And so that thought or that question led me into the truths that I know right now. And I wondered to myself, I just kept on wondering, why didn't I know those things all this while? Why didn't I know, the principles of how lives work? Why didn't I know the principles of how relationship works? I've been, like, why didn't I know those things? That kind of question. And it dawned on me, like, it wasn't just this transformation, this learning, this teachings I've gotten wasn't just for me alone. I was like, okay, how many other women don't know this truth? Because I believe if we know better, we would actually do better, right? And so how many other women need to know this truth? How many other women need to know how the principles of life generally, like how life works, right? And so all of that kind of blew my mind. And I put up the Queen's Transition Program based on my findings, based on my learnings, based on the transformation that's happened, my own personal experience. And I said to myself, I'm sure there are millions, thousands, millions, billions probably, number of women who need to know this truth, who need to know how to become better, how to have better relationships, and how to become better women. And everything, one of the life transforming information and knowledge I gained in all this is that everything um, everything we receive in our life is mostly majorly dependent on who we are as a person. In as much as we want to blame someone else, want to blame, whoever we want to blame, most of the things that come to us in life is as a result of who we are as a person. And it just kind of blew my mind. And so when we're complaining about disempowered men and narcissistic men and abusive men, where just the whole discussion started from that angle. It never dawned on us the part we played to attract such kind of people to our lives. Like, it never dawned on us what was the force, what was attracting us to this kind of experiences that we were having, right? It was just like, this person is bad, this is wrong, this is person. We never really took our time to see that it was us. We're attracting this kind of people into our lives, right? It's not about them, it's not about us. And so the idea started to center around how how then could I have better in life? You know, I like to think about it like a mountain of evolution. And at the base of this mountain, or let me say it this way. Let me say, if I'm a level one person, I'm a level one person. Let me say I'm someone in level one. Basically how this thing happens in computer games, and you're playing a game on your phone, and you're at this level, and then you win. You get a prize, in the game. They give you something, maybe a shield or something special, a special character, just because you have passed one level to the next level. And if you are at level one, you don't get the you don't get the special character, you don't get the special gift for level 10. You know what I mean? And that's how it is for many of us. Many of us are on a level one, and we're expecting something that's on a level 10. Many of us are on a down level. So let me say, because this started for me in the place of relationship. We're looking for a man who is loving and kind and passionate, and who gives us attention. But you're on a level one, and that kind of guy is operating on a level 10. You get what I mean? Or it's operating on a level two. So what you attract to yourself is the person on your level. Like, there's this so much of attraction that happens on earth, you know, that we are not even so much aware of. And so instead of complaining, like, why am I having this experience I'm having in life? The best question is to ask, how do I climb up the level so I can attract better in my life, right? So if I'm attracting the same kind of unavailable men, the same kind of men. You know, many times people say, "Oh, every all the men are this way and men are that way and men are this way." If I'm attracting those kind of men in my life, then probably there's a level that I'm at, and in that level, this is the kind of men that operate in that level. So if I want to attract men who are better off, who are more present, men who are more passionate, men who are more capable, or or just whatever level of men you want to attract, then the question is, what would that kind of person, what would attract that kind of person? Like what kind of person would attract that kind of person to me? You get what I mean? What kind of person would am I at that level? When I mean level, I'm talking about, have I built my capacity to that level to attract that kind of person? And so when I started to build around this, one of the major thing that happened to me, like this is one of the defining moment for me in my life, one of the turning points in my life, was when I sat down in my I was in my bathtub. I was in a very bad state at this time. And I was just complaining. Things were not working out as I wanted them to work. I wasn't getting the business, the money I wanted to get. Things were just not working out as I wanted them to work. And I was in this very low state in my life. And I remember just staying in my bathtub. And I was just like crying. I was just like, why is things not working? So I was crying, I was praying, how you're crying and you're praying at the same time. So, oh God, please show me mercy or help me. And at the same time, you're crying and you're asking. And as I was just in that kind of position, I was just in my bathtub, in that kind of position. The first a thought came into my heart. Like, if there are few times I've really felt like I heard God, this should be one of the times. And the thought that came to me was like, this words, I heard this words clearly in my ears. And it says, because you feel you're unworthy. Because you feel you're unworthy. And I said to myself, wait, where exactly did this thoughts come from? Like, where did this thoughts come from? Because this is not, you don't just get to you don't just get thinking this kind of thoughts, right? So I said, where did these thoughts come from? And almost instantly, I could just see, it was like a flashback. I could see opportunities I did not go for. I could see relationships I did not stand. I could see emails I didn't even send, because I just felt like nobody's going to do. No, I'm not up to this level. No, this is not for me. No, this is not for me. That kind of a thing. And also in my subconscious, even though I was doing that unaware, in my subconscious, I was telling myself, I'm not worthy of these things. I'm not worthy of this person. I'm not worthy of this opportunity. I'm not worthy of of this relationship. I'm not worthy of this. And so I would always subconsciously take things that were lower than my level, because I felt like that was what I was worthy of, you know. And so the thoughts just came into my heart in the bathtub there. And something else that happened instantly was that I just remembered. I remembered in my mind. It just, this is something that's never happened to me before. And in my mind, I saw a picture of something that happened to me when I was about 7 years old. Like, I was that young. I'd never thought about that in my whole life, like in 30 something years of my life. I never thought about that. And in this moment, I saw something that happened to me when I was about 7. I had these two cousins. They were going to kill chicken. And as they cut off the head of the chicken, as they killed the head, I was there with them, and they killed the head of the chicken. And jokingly, they picked me up and said they were going to cut off my head, they were going to cut off my head. So they put the back of the knife on my throat and instead pretending like they were going to slice me up. And I was screaming and crying and screaming and crying, and nobody came to save me. Nobody came to save me. And as that flashback came back to my mind, I felt like that was the point. That was one of the points in my life where that unworthiness, that sense of unworthiness got into me, because all these things were happening, at the same time in the bathtub. Like, they were just like happening, almost at the same time in the bathtub. And it just occurred to me, like, this is where I picked up that sense of unworthiness. Maybe I felt like nobody loved me. Maybe I felt like nobody wanted me enough. Maybe I felt like nobody was going to fight for me. They were going to kill me and nobody was coming. I was screaming, and as a little child, I didn't know it was a joke. And it is why I'm very careful now with children, some of the jokes we play with children. Because as a little child, I didn't know that was a joke. I didn't know that they weren't planning to kill me. I didn't know this was just a prank. But for me, it was so real. It was so real that it could cause a shift in my life that took me 30 something years to be able to figure out that I picked the sense of unworthiness because of from a little prank. Now, this is how this whole thing scenario works. Um, Emotional wounds. Let me say it this way: when things happen to us, okay, I'm wondering what it is. When things happen to us, right? When um, when we have wounds in the physical, right? We have wounds in the physical. Things don't go well. You fall down. You have a cut. It's easy to have wounds, right? It's easy to cut yourself. You're trying to cook and then fire burns you or knife cuts you or something. It's something that happens. It's just part of life. Like we hurt ourselves. Nobody's without hurt. Nobody can actually just prevent hurt their whole life, right? Something was always hurt you, whether it's a knife or you fall on the ground. Something I don't know what's all this beeping on my phone, on my watch. So something always would always happen to hurt us. Now the point is this: that when we hurt ourselves in the physical, we always know what to do. So if I have a cut, I know I need to, get it checked, get it treated, cover it up, clean it with iodine, clean it with spirit. We know what we need to do when we have a cut in our physical body. But the problem is that for many of us, when we get a cut in our emotions, in our soul, in our emotions, we don't know what to do with the wounds. And wounds would always come. Rejection is a wound. Abuse is a wound. Um, Physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, abuses, all these things are wounds, that comes up. Abandonment as a child is a wound. And these things are all wounds that could come up especially in childhood, because when many times as adults we know what to do, we know how to deal with it, or somehow we're better equipped to deal with it as adults than as children. And so many of us are wounded as children, and we never got treated. We never got treated. You have a cut as a child, at least everybody knows they can see the cut. But because the emotional wounds are inside and nobody gets to see it, we don't even know we're hurt. We don't even know we're wounded. No, people don't know we're wounded, right? Now, this is the big part of wounds for me. Because when we're wounded in the physical, what we know what to do, right? When we're wounded in the physical, we know what to do. And when we leave physical wounds unattended, you have a cut, you have a deep cut. I was talking to someone sometime, he had an accident and he never got to treat the wound because he said no money. And the thing got so worse that it became an ulcer, like a leg ulcer or something like that. And it was because he didn't take time to treat it when it happened. So now it was infected, right? So physical wounds can be infected if it's not taken care of. Now, you can imagine what happens to emotional wounds when they are not taken care of. Emotional wounds can also be infected. Emotional wounds can be affected. And how are emotional wounds affected? What's the thing? So for me, that wound of that prank wounded me on my heart. Like it was a pain. I was crying, I was screaming, so it was like a wound, right? For me in my heart. But what got into that wound, what infected that wound for me was unworthiness. I felt I was unworthy. I felt I was unworthy. In short, I like to call those things this bacteria. Like when you're infected in the physical, it's bacteria and germs and all that. I like to call the emotional ones unclean spirits. I like to call them unclean spirits. So they come and leech on us because of we pick these things. We're wounded, we're not taken care of, we're wounded in our emotions. Nobody listens to us, nobody knows about it because it's subtle, it's inside, nobody sees it. And so when that wound is left unattended, it kind of is infected. So to some people is unworthiness. Some people it's different things. It's different things, for different people. But it's all as a result of emotional wounds. Okay. And so some people it's unworthiness, it's fear, it's resentment, it's, it's anger, and all these things are things that just wound us and stay in our hearts without us knowing that they are there. You know, I remember a case of I remember some time ago my son. Let me give an example. My son, and I was going out with my son, and he ran into an elevator and got stuck in the elevator for just like, I don't know, maybe less than 2 minutes, and he was just about 2 years old, and he was alone in the elevator and the lift. He screamed and screamed and screamed and screamed and screamed, and he wanted someone he screamed, and there was no one there with him. Okay, so by the time the elevator was open, he was panting, he was banging at the door, he was panting, so he was like, and I held this guy. I held him when he came out, and he was panting and he was screaming. That was an emotional wound. That was a wound. And guess what happened after then? Immediately, one of the things I noticed after that experience he had was that he would never be alone. He couldn't stay in his room alone. He couldn't do something alone. He was always afraid. You will say, hey, just check this out and let me wait, just give me 1 minute. Let me get something here. He's already scared. And this happened to one of us too. And all through 6, 7, 8, 9 years, he was still scared of being alone. His younger brother didn't have that wound. His younger brother would be like, can stay alone, can stay in the house alone. Just say, give me 1 minute, I'll go downstairs and get something. He doesn't mind. But this one was always scared. It was always like fidgeting, was always worried. And it was because of that wound. It took me time to be able to like, you know, affirm him again and again and again that he's fine and there is nothing. So that wound opened the door for that fear to come in. You see what I'm talking about? The wound opened the door for the fear to come in. So for many of us, we're carrying different wounds. And these wounds have not been treated. This wound have not been taken care of. Right? This wound have not been taken care of. And then they just keep on playing in us in different forms. Okay? And so let me go back to the mountain I told you about. There's a mountain of, I like to call it the mount of evolution and growth. The mount of evolution and growth. And the basics, the foundation of this mountain is worthiness. Is worthiness. And when we carry on worthiness, because many of us as women are carrying on worthiness, and it's affecting our self-worth. We have less low self-worth, low self-esteem. And when we carry this unworthiness at the base of the mountain, this is at the base of the mountain, right? So this is a mountain of, remember, I'm talking about a mountain of evolution and growth. So at every level of the mountain, you're attracting to yourself a different set of things. It's a different set of vibe, a different set of different things are being attracted at different level of the mountain, right? And at the base of that mountain is unworthiness. That's what keeps us at the base of the mountain. That's what keeps us at the base of the mountain. And so when we're thinking about, oh, we want this, we want that, we want all the things we say we want, and we still have that unworthiness not dealt with in us, it keeps us stuck at the base of the mountain. We can't climb with unworthiness. We can't climb with unworthiness in us, right? And so the first thing I want you to do is, I want you to do a bit of reflection and think about your childhood and think about, what is limiting me right now in life? Like, what exactly is limiting me right now in life? And I want to think about what could be limiting you in life right now, and where did it come from? Where did it come from? Okay, what could be limiting your life right now? Where did it come from? Let me just come my notes and see what if I'm skipping out something. Okay, so reflect on your story, and I want you to remember if there's any incidents or any event that got you wounded as a child. Like if there's any event or anything, because these things keep us stayed on the base of the mountain, in the base of the mountain of unworthiness. So we need to deal with the unworthiness so we can climb the mountain of evolution and growth. And at every stage of this mountain, I'm going to take you, through the stages of this mountain, like help you climb this mountain. But at every stage, at least to where I am, right? I'm not at the peak. This is like, oh, a peakless mountain. But at every stage of the mountain, there's something there for you to lay hold of. There's something there for you to claim. There's something there for you. And this is why many times we're looking at external things, to grab external things instead of doing the work of evolution and growth. And as we evolve and as we grow, as we deal with this unworthiness, we take a step up the mountain. And as we deal with shame, we take a step up the mountain. And as we begin to learn confidence, and as we begin to learn how to courage, and as we begin to learn how to walk in love and forgiveness and all that, it takes us one step up the mountain. It takes us steps up the mountain. And at every level of that mountain, there is something to lay hold of. So many of the things that we're crying and praying and fasting and all that about is at the next level of the mountain. If you would take the courage and climb this mountain of evolution, what you're looking for will come to you seamlessly. It will come to you effortlessly. But you need to make that move. You need to make that move of growth. You need to take that step of evolution, those steps of evolution and growth. You need to start climbing the mountain and stop wallowing on the ground level of unworthiness, and stop layering on the ground level of unworthiness. And when you start dealing with all those things and climbing this mountain, it just changes everything for you. It changes everything for you, because as you're growing, everything around you begins to change. It changes your relationships. It changes your your finances. It changes your joy, your experience of life, because you've started to make that step. You start taking the step of evolution and growth over a lifetime, right? So I want you to do the reflection and think about it for a moment, and think about what wound did I pick, or what got to me? What wound was I wounded as a child? Was I abused as a child? Was I abandoned as a child? Was I Sometimes it may not necessarily be that way, like for me, but this is at what our mind picked up. I want you to do a bit of reflection and think about your childhood, and think about what in my childhood, where did I pick up unworthiness? Where did I pick up unworthiness? Because unworthiness is, like I said, foundation, is the foundation to attracting better in your life. Like, dealing with unworthiness is the foundation to attracting better in your life. I'm going to do one other, hopefully, I'll try to do one other session on healing. On healing. Hopefully, I'll try to do one other session on healing. And now, but this is what I'm going to offer you, because healing is a bit kind of diverse, kind of, because we're dealing with different things and all that. So if you really want to just go through healing, like you really want to take time and just heal unworthiness and heal heal these things completely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to you could send me a message and say, hey, I have childhood traumas, I have pains, I have things I want to deal with. I want to work on these things, because these things keep us at the base of the mountain, and you want to deal with these things. Then you could just send me a message. um I'm still thinking if it's going to be a free if it's going to be a free call. But yeah, just send me a message and then we'll find a way to work this out. you know and so one of the things you would learn to do is to shut the door to unworthiness. So you shut the door to one unworthiness. You go like, because one of the things I like I tell you is these things are like unclean spirits. These things are like unclean spirits. This unworthiness and shame that kind of, like the way you have gems that kind of sticks themselves in us, right? And so what you do is that you release them in the place of healing. You release that unworthiness. You release that shame. You release that fear. You release that resentment. In the place of healing, you kind of get that off you. And what completely heals us, what completely heals us is love. What completely heals us is love. And so that's why when we feel, those who felt loved, I'm not saying our parents didn't love us, but some of us, we didn't feel it, right? We knew that they loved us, good and fine, but we didn't feel the love, right? But for children who felt they were loved, who felt that they were accepted and they were loved, they have less problem to deal with unworthiness, right? Unlike children who didn't feel the loved. Their parents probably loved them, they provided for them, but they didn't really feel like they were loved. They didn't feel it, you know, because our perception to some of these things kind of matters a lot. So that's the foundation to climbing the mountain of evolution, is dealing with unworthiness. The truth is this: you were born worthy. We're all born worthy. We're all born, we're all born worthy. We're all born. Nobody was born with unworthiness. Nobody was created with unworthiness. You were born worthy. You were worthy. The moment you came on earth, you're worthy. You're worthy to be on earth. The moment you came on earth, you were born worthy, right? You were born worthy. One of the beautiful stories I really love in the Bible is a story about where Jesus, um, Jesus was going to be baptized, right, by John the Baptist. I don't know if you're all Christians here, but permit me. So Jesus was going to be baptized by John the Baptist, and one of the things, one the Bible talks about a voice, a voice, the Spirit descending on him like a dove, something like that. And then a voice saying to him, speaking out, the voice saying this, a voice proclaiming this, and saying, "This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. This is my beloved son. This is my son that I love, in whom I'm well pleased." And it dawned on me that Jesus hadn't even performed any miracle. He hadn't even turned water into wine or done something, or any notable miracle. Nothing. And the father was saying, "This is my beloved son. This is my son that I loved. I love. I'm pleased with him." And that itself is what builds worthiness in us as children. It's what builds worthiness in us. Like, we don't need to do anything to be worthy. We were born worthy already. You don't need to do anything to be worthy. You don't need to, see, with my flat nose and my big eyes, I am still worthy, with my, however, with no bum. Some of us have no bum, some of us have no boobs, some of us have, some of us are fat, some of us are slim. You are worthy just the way that you are. That truth alone is what will deliver you from unworthiness. Like, you were born worthy. You didn't need to do anything to receive it. You didn't need to do anything to become worthy. You were born, you are worthy on your own. You are created worthy. And as long as you came on earth, you're worthy. You're worthy, you know? And so that truth, we could see that, and you could see how much confidence and courage and love that Jesus could exude, could give out, was because he knew he was born. He knew he was worthy. He knew he was worthy. I am your. This is my beloved son. This is my son I love so well. In him I am well pleased. And when we have parents, and if you're a parent, this is what we should give to our children, that they should know that they are loved. Whether they have a good grade or they have a bad grade, they are loved and we're pleased because they are our children. And that's what forms worthiness in us. That's what makes us feel worthy. When we're loved in the way that we didn't need to merit it. Like, because you are my daughter, you are loved. And I believe that's the greatest healing, when we can receive God's love in our hearts. When we can receive God's love just because we're his child. I'm his daughter, and so I'm loved. I don't care whether I have a black skin or a fair skin or white skin. I don't care whether I have a short hair or long hair. I don't care whether I have money or no money. I don't care whether I'm fat or slim. I don't care whether I have a big nose and a flat nose, or I am worthy because I'm God's daughter. And that takes away the burden of unworthiness. And that takes away the burden of low self-esteem. And that takes away the burden of low self-worth, because I am worthy just the way that I am. I don't need to perform it. I am already worthy. And when this truth anchors in our hearts, when this truth, it delivers us from every form of low self-worth and low self-esteem. And I remember, I tell you, in the mount of evolution and growth, worthiness is the foundation to climbing the mountain of evolution and growth. So if I want a better relationship, then I need to deal with my own self-worth. I'm worthy just the way I am. If I want to have better income, better business, better job opportunities, it's knowing that I'm worthy. That's the foundation of it. I am worthy. First of all, I am worthy. And so being worthy is the foundation of climbing that mount of evolution and growth. And at every level you climb, there is something at that level, right? At every level. So remember, I talked about how I started this program with a friend who said she had a narcissistic husband. One of the things we started to deal with when I started doing taking this, when I started learning this truth, was that she definitely just felt somehow she was not worthy. I'm in this relationship because I'm not worthy. Like this is what I like. I'm not worthy. And that unworthiness just attracts to us everything that is not right. Okay. And so I don't want to digress into a relationship, because I have a class for relationship. I have a class for relationship for singles and class for relationship for married women. So that's a bonus class in this program. I think that should be on week 11 and week 12. But the whole point is this: when we begin to feel worthy, when we begin to know and begin to anchor in our worthiness, it changes the it changes the dynamics for us in our lives, right? So you're worthy. And you notice that, because our being worthy is our identity, I'm worthy is our identity. And one of the things you would know, is the devil is always coming to steal our identity. The enemy is always wanting to steal our identity, because he knows if he can steal this identity from us, he will keep us at the base of the mountain, where we'll keep complaining about relationship, about finances, about what's not working, what is working. He will keep us about even sicknesses and illnesses and diseases. That's where they stay. They are more at the base. They stay more, they harbor more at the base of the mountain with unworthiness. And so the enemy knows that if he can steal this identity from us, he can keep us at the base of the mountain, you know. And so if you just think about it, I'll just think about it, and you think about someone like Adam and Eve, right? Adam and Eve, the first recorded men in the man and woman in the Bible. And you see the enemy coming to them and saying to them, did God really say you shouldn't eat of that tree? Because God knows that if you eat of the tree, you'll be like him. You will discern good and evil. Hello? They were already like Christ. They were already like God. The Bible says, let us create man in our own image and after our own likeness. So they were already like God. They didn't need to eat the fruit to become like God. They didn't need to eat the fruit to become like God, because they were already like him. So the devil always comes to, steal our identity. He's always after our identity. You are not, he tells you things like you're not enough, you're not worthy, nobody's gonna like you. You're so stupid. Who's gonna pick someone that is fat like you? He's gonna pick someone that is slim like you. He's gonna pick someone that has big head, that has big eyes. Oh my god, you're not worthy to be there. Don't even bother. Nobody's gonna pick you, nobody's gonna take you. These things are identity issue that's always attacking our minds. You're not worthy to be there. You're not worthy to be this. No, don't even bother applying. Don't even stress yourself. You're not going to get it. Who's going to give it to you? Look at you now. You don't know anything. You're stupid. You're foolish. Look at you. You have 2 children. Who's going to marry you with your 2 children? Who's going to like you just the way that you are? Who's going to give you this one? Who's going to give you that? And so we always have this information bombarding in our minds, because the enemy is trying to steal our identity of who we really are. And because when we're not grounded in our self-worth, when we're not grounded in the fact that we're worthy, regardless of what we do or what we have, we stray, we lose a lot. You can imagine even the enemy coming to Jesus, a whole Jesus, the Son of God, right? And coming to him and saying, if you are the Son of God, if you are the Son of God, then turn the stone into bread and prove that you are. Hello, he's already the Son of God. He didn't need to prove it. He's already born worthy. The Father said, this is my beloved Son. It called him beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. He didn't need to prove that he was worthy. He already knew in himself, I am worthy. I am worthy. I don't need to prove it. I don't need to prove. I don't need to have I don't need to have money in my bank account to prove that I'm worthy. I am already worthy. And when we make this shift in our minds, we begin to attract to ourselves better things, because good things come to those who believe that they are worthy. Good things come to those who believe they are worthy. And so when we begin to believe that we're worthy, when we begin to believe that we're worthy, like, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy. I don't need to do anything to know that I'm worthy just the way that I am, with my black skin, with my flat nose, with my short hair, with my empty bank account at the moment. I'm still worthy. I'm still worthy. And when we anchor ourselves in that truth of we're worthy, then we begin to make the shifts. Every other thing begins to align to that shift. Like, hey, she's worthy to have a better relationship. Hey, she's worthy to have to have a better opportunity. Hey, she's worthy because she believes she's worthy, and we begin to attract to ourselves what we believe. She's worthy to have more money. She's worthy to have a better business. She's worthy, and you begin to tell yourself, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. And what happens is that we start attracting better things into our lives because we're worthy. All right. Okay, we start attracting better things into our life because we begin to see that we are worthy. We begin to see that we're worthy, and good things start to come to those who believe that they're worthy, and better things start to come to those who believe that they're worthy. Many times we think it happens the other way around. We believe that when I have more money, when I have the opportunity, when I have the good body, when I shed weight, when I do this, when I make money, then I will now feel worthy. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You have to feel worthy, and then you turn your situation around, because we're like magnets, attracting things into our lives. We're like magnets, attracting good things, attracting, bad things. We're attracting things into our lives. And when we begin to feel like I'm worthy for a better job, we begin to pull those things our way. I'm worthy to have a better business. I'm worthy to build a career. I'm worthy to have a good relationship. I'm worthy to have the best kind of man. I'm worthy to have the best kind of children. I'm worthy to have kids. I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. I'm worthy to explore. I'm worthy to travel around the world. I'm worthy to build a career. I'm worthy to get a PhD. I'm worthy, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. And then when we begin to start seeing ourselves as worthy, we'll start to pull to ourselves those things that we desire. We'll begin to pull to ourselves those things that we say we want. Begin to pull to ourselves, our desires, our wants, because now we're worthy. And then these things are like, oh, okay, she's worthy. Let's get to her. She's worthy. Let's get to her. These are things that are for worthy people. Let's get to her. Right? I remember, before I started doing this work, before I even started knowing healing, unworthiness, and all that, I wrote down something in a diary. This is so fascinating. I wrote down something many years ago, and I said to myself, I want to be able to teach women. I want to be able to teach women. I want to have a training institute. I want to teach women. I wrote this thing down, and I want to have a blog. And at this point, I didn't even know anything to teach women. I just had this, I want to just teach women some things. And I saw where I wrote those things last week. And I said to myself, oh my God, like I opened the blog early this year, right? I started the blog early this year. It didn't even occur to me that I'd written these things down 2017. Like I saw where I wrote this. That 2017, yeah, 2017 January. 2017 January. You know when you're writing New Year New Year resolution and all that, it was written there. I was like, I was so shocked. And I wrote down, I wanted to teach women. I wrote down I was going, like the things that I wrote down, I'm seeing them now. And I said to myself, why did it have to take that long for me to even think about it? And it just dawned on me right now that I didn't feel worthy of it, even though I had it in my mind. I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. And now I start to say, I'm worthy for more, I'm worthy to have this, I'm worthy to have that, I'm worthy. You know, now I'm beginning to see myself as worthy. I'm attracting to myself the things that I had wanted, like the things that I've wanted for years, because my perception is changing and I'm seeing myself as someone who is worthy. The things that I need are going like, yeah, she's worthy. Let's go meet her. She's worthy. Let's give it to her. She's worthy. Let's let her have it. You see my point? So when we begin to heal this worthiness issue, which is at the base of the mountain, we start climbing up the mountain. I'm going to teach you so much more up this, up this mountain as far as I've gone. But when we start climbing up the mountain, we start attracting to ourselves better opportunities, better things, better relationships, and so much better because we see ourselves as worthy. So I want you to do this. I'm going to round up with this. I want you to contemplate, right? I want you to contemplate and ask yourself this question. I want you to think about it. Reflect, think about it. When in my life do I still feel unworthy? When in my life do I still feel like I'm not worthy for that? I'm not worthy for this. Where do I still feel unworthy? Where do I still feel unworthy? And at this moment, I don't want you to, it's not time for, I don't want you to just start, oh, I need to change, I need to work on. I just want to just think about it and say, do I feel unworthy? Are there instances where I felt unworthy? Maybe I want a better relationship, but nobody wants to marry a woman that is 40 years plus. I don't think there's anyone who is, yeah, 40 years plus. And nobody wants to marry someone who is, that's unworthiness speaking. Sometimes we don't even know it's unworthiness, but that's unworthiness speaking. Oh, I can't get a job because who want to employ someone who I don't have this, that's unworthiness speaking. That's unworthiness speaking. And when we say, oh, I can never be able to do this, nobody wants this, that's unworthiness. I want you to start picking up where you're saying you're unworthy. Areas where unworthiness is showing up in your life again and again and again. I want you to think about it, contemplate, where have this unworthiness poked its head in my life? Where am I still living unworthily? Where am I saying to myself, I'm not enough yet? I need this for me to be enough. I need money for me to be enough. I need fame. I need this. I need to have 10,000 followers for me to be enough. Where are you short circuiting yourself? Where I say, oh, I need to have better things before I come up. I don't feel worthy to do the things that I want to do. Where is unworthiness showing up in your life? I want you to contemplate on these things, where is unworthiness showing up in my life? And I'll see you next week in week 2. So if you have any questions, you leave it for me in the yeah, if you have any questions, just send it to me in the comments. If you want to have a private session with me, because I usually do private sessions too. So if you want to have a private session with me, send me a message and say, yeah, I want to have a private session. But I'm not sure the private session is going to be free. I guess it's going to be paid for. But yeah, it's going to be something like way affordable for anyone that wants to do this program. I really want you to make that shift in your life, right? I really want you to make that shift, that impact in your life. And I'll see you in the next class. Have a blessed week. Take care. Bye.